Hey, welcome to Rust Revival Garage. My name is Tim. I'm doing something extremely vitally important to my 68 Pontiac Le Mans in order to take it on the Hot Rod Power Tour. I'm installing a stereo in the glove box. Actually, is it really important to do? Is it vital? No, it's not at all. But I'm stalling because I don't want to try to start this thing because I know I've had the engine out and I've done some things to it, and I'm afraid that if I try to start it up, everything will just break down and it will be all for naught. So anyway, I also noticed that there aren't a lot of good videos out there on how to put a stereo in your glove box in your classic car. There's some that are 16 years old. There are some that are 9 years old, but there aren't very many videos out there on installing the radio in the glove box. So I wanted to make one. And I'm sick right now. I've got a cold. Don't know if you can hear me, but I figured this is a good time to just sit there in the passenger seat on the floor and see if I can get this wiring taken care of. So let's get to it. Okay, so here's what I'm working with in the glove box. I've got the power wire. I'll have to look up and see which one is which. There's a red and black that came from the painless harness. One is for battery when the engine is running. The other is just to provide power to it to keep your presets and the clock and all that stuff straight. So I just have to figure out which one is which. My other wire coming in from this side is from the new speaker. I actually put in, before I got all this closed up, I put in a new speaker that has, rather than just one speaker, it's got two different speakers that are coming out of the same spot at the top, so you almost get a stereo sound with the speakers. So yeah, that's cool. Where's my other one though? Anyway, I also have two speakers coming in from the rear. Now these two I just had originally, they were originally here when I installed the carpet. I had them run down through. They go all the way to the back, and I've got two speakers back there, but I have two speaker openings back there, but I need to install the speakers. Actually, see, yeah, this one isn't long enough. But this is from one of the speakers in the front. This one's from the other. The cool thing is I can take it back out through here, make it a little longer, and then be able to run it in here and have room. So this is the wiring harness that came with the radio. So you've got a ground, got power steering wheel stuff, you know, antenna stuff, all of that you won't really need. But really, here's the one for the power. Here's the one for when it's just on to keep your presets and your clock running. And then the rest that I'm going to use are just the speakers. So as you can see, this is the sort of under dash mount. This is if you were going to say put it down here, which honestly it doesn't look terrible. But it's just going to be weird with the radio here, and then to have this down here. I don't know. It's not lined up correctly over the console. I don't know. My thought was put it in here. But as you can see, it's about 2 inches too long, maybe. So I'm wondering if I can't trim it back, slide it back in there. I just won't have the back of this on there, and then this can actually hold the mount for the radio. The radio will be able to, of course I can't do it both hands, but the radio will be able to slide into that, and I can either have it setting on the floor of the glove box, maybe try to mount it up here, I don't know. We'll see. There are some screws up here. There's 3 over here for some reason. One maybe here. So that's a possibility. But first I got to do is cut this thing down and see if we can make it work. Okay, so in my painless book, the red wire is the battery power. That is the yellow wire on the piece that comes with the radio. The red and black wire is the ignition wire, and that is the red wire on this switch. So I just have to make sure red goes to red. No. Red goes to yellow, red and black goes to red. And then that way everything is connected correctly on the power side. Then it's just a matter of plugging in my antenna and then wiring all the speaker wire up. Getting these all corrected. So I have to cut off these tips and then be able to connect everything together with these wires. Okay, I've got all my little connectors up on all the speaker wires, the 2 power wires, and I've got a little one connector on my ground. I'm going to be able to run that down through here, and I just so happen to have another ground right here. So I'll be able to run that up to here, ground it to the dash, and that should be good. Now, if you have old speaker wire that doesn't have like black and red, in this case it's got sort of the copper and the silver color, doesn't matter which one it is, as long as you are consistent. In other words, I'm going to make all my copper ends my positive, all my silver ends my negative, and keep it consistent. So when I plug it in, I plug these wires into the back of the speakers, I'll be able to do the copper positive, silver on negative on the speakers as well. So it'll be consistent all the way through. Same thing here. These actually have 1 red and 1 silver. So I'm going to make my red my positive. The one without the color of the silver will be the negative. Alright, so these speaker wires were pretty much just designed to come straight down to here. Didn't have them very long, so I had to extend both so they can get up here through the glove box. And got all my connectors ready to connect. I think that's it. One thing that I do like to do whenever I've got a short or a really narrow gauge wire like this, I like to twist it up and then about this far down, like maybe just like a 1/4 of an inch down, I fold it over and then sort of rub it together. Gives it a little more thickness. I don't know, I just always worry that the really thin gauge wire is going to just slip back out. So that's what I always do. I always just bend over the tip, rub it together, twist it, and then slide it into the butt connectors. So I've got my battery, which is constantly hot, hooked up. So I pretty much have both my power wires connected. And now it's just really a matter of all the different speaker wires. And then I'll connect the ground wire and we'll plug it in and see if it works. Well, no, I can only really test these speakers right now. Okay, so my ground is grounded. My power wires are connected. My speaker wires are all connected. I really just need to plug this in the back of the radio, this in the antenna, which doesn't matter if I have antenna or not. I'm really not really using it for the FM, but yeah, then we can test it out. So I've got my antenna plugged in. Got the plug plugged in. And can't really test it until we, at least can't really test the back speakers, but we can maybe test the front speakers and see how well it works. Alright, so we have power. The instructions on this for some reason say...
If I need extra stopping power,
you can upgrade to Duralast Gold pads for just $10.
So Duralast pads are free?
Yep.
And
Look at
an
that.
upgrade is just $10?
That's right. Part of the spring
Okay.
sale at AutoZone. Get in the zone.
Let me play around with the instructions a little bit and see what I can figure out. Alright, so a lot of this is just setting up, like getting the clock set, but I'm not leaving the battery plugged in on this, but yeah, it pretty much works. I mean, as you can see, it fits in here really well. It fits in here really well, and I think it's going to work. Even if I don't use the case, I have this mounted in the glove box. I mean, the only thing I don't like is you pretty much want to make sure that you're a little more level, but it's you know, I could still cut off that piece, see if I can get that to fit in here and then mount it on that. Then it pretty much is going to be level. And the great thing is about this is I've got this radio in my Jeep, and whether or not, you know, as soon as I get in the car, my phone immediately starts playing music. So I don't even have to make sure that the door is open, closed, anything like that. So I think this is going to work out very well. Again, don't really need to go through setting the menu up or anything. I just do need to get the back speakers hooked up. And yeah, that's installing at least the radio part in your glove box. All right, as fun as this was to be down here in the trunk, got my one speaker hooked back up and just got to do that one now. So again, this is an old school speaker. It's got the little female or the male coupling terminals. And so the thicker one is the positive, the thinner one is the negative. So again, my copper is going to be my positive. The silver is going to be the neg. All right, speakers are up, wired in. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to hang this up here, but let's test it out now that we've got the rear speakers in. So here's my thought. I'm gonna use this and turn it upside down. I'm gonna cut off the back. This will support the front of the radio. It'll keep it up off of the ground, you know, the floor of the glove box, and it makes a nice, neatish little package. So I'm going to take about this much off, and you really won't see that at the back of the glove box. It'll kind of be buried. So I think that'll look a little better than just setting the radio in there. Oh, this is not going to end well. But I got a little tape on there. Gonna get it up to speed. Sand a little bit of that off and make sure there's no rough edges, but that will work. Now let's take a look and see how we did without measuring it. Look at that. So yeah, radio can go in. That'll weigh it down a little bit. If I had to screw it down, I've got these here, but getting that to, the odds of getting that to line up are probably not great. Anyway, yeah, slide the radio in. Oops. Then use this piece to lock it in place. And then I can pretty much just lift it up and plug in the wires and do all that separately. So let's give it a try. All right, it's in there. Let's see if we can play around with it and find out how good it sounds. All right, so I have paired one of my YouTube songs so that I can play it. Up here, I've got my phone paired up. I used the Bluetooth connection and pretty much ready to rock and roll and see how it sounds. It's going to be hard to tell on a GoPro audio, but go ahead and play it. Not too shabby. got tunes in my car for the Hot Rod Power Tour. Rock and roll. And just kind of wanted to show you, got the glove box closed, different song playing. Again, I don't have to have the glove box open. I got tunage. Nice. All right, so that's going to do it. That's how you put a stereo into your glove box of your classic car. This will work for just about anything. I'm not really sure how it would work out for your wiring if you don't know how to wire the radio wire to come off of your fuse box. I had the painless wiring kit, and it had the 2 wires that came out. So I went ahead and took advantage of those, and that's pretty much how you hook it up. So if you have normal wires going to your radio that's in your dash, you can maybe extend those over to your glove box if your radio doesn't work anymore. I'll put a link of things that I used in here, the little underdash box. I'll even put the radio in there if you want to take a look at that. But yeah, it's easy to do. It doesn't require a whole lot. I'm sure there are a lot of other products out there. There's like amplifiers you can probably put under your seat that'll give you Wi-Fi access, all that crap. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. This is the first radio I've ever installed in a car that worked. So subscribe if you can to the channel. I'd appreciate it. Give me a like down below if you got anything out of it. Leave me a comment if you have any questions or if I got anything wrong. But yeah, one more thing to check off my list of things to do for the Power Tour. Not very important, not very vital, but hey, traveling 1,500 miles without music kind of sucks. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.